Hey everyone, my name is Kabi and today we're gonna watch the 2v2 game which has happened during a community handled tournament. So it's been for the two-player teams as obviously, and here we have the two teams. The blue team features Igor 1349, so I guess we're gonna call him just Igor, or rather just by the colors. So then the light player in his team is someone called User. I'm not sure if this guy has some alter ID or not. Anyway, the red team now, the Ruspeak playing the dark faction and Very Perry play the light faction. So this map, especially in 3v3, is very defensive because we have the two combined high grounds, and even though they're quite wide, it is still hard to kind of engage upstairs. There is the way around, but usually you can't go through that choke as a team because it's quite far from, let's say, the green player to engage the orange player throughout this bridge. It's really a long way to go. And in 3 versus 3 it is really kind of, well, the slow gameplay. It is at the same time kind of comfortable for the newcomers to the game because it is not very stressful. You all stay together, your ally can help you defending and stuff like that, but at the same time the allies of your opponents help each other too. So once it comes down to a fencing, it starts playing against you. But anyway, let's put more attention in the starting build orders. As we see, the blue player, Igor, goes Totem along with the Obelisk and the Workshop and Altar of Heroes. A lot of different stuff at the same time. Altar of Heroes kinda looks late to me. So usually if you are getting under Obelisk as early as this, you probably wanna start with Eater and then adding something up to it. Probably not this time though. Also the second peak still going up. Here we have Human Monument and also the late altar, by the way. I'm not sure if this may be some kind of the team games meta, but doesn't look great to me when you just floor up in resources. You have two production building and not really even use one. And at the same time, yeah, people circling around the elementals. Mana wells also very close to the starting position in this map, so this also makes it comfortable and at the same time hard to break because they're almost like the home-based. I'm not sure if some of you guys played WAR Legends as far back as we used to have the mana wells back in the bases. Now that I tell it, I'm not even sure that we kept it until opening the beta testing to the players. Maybe we even removed that stuff earlier. But yeah, back in the day we used to have the mana well in the base, so players didn't have the natural mana regeneration, you know. So if some Fox Rider harassing you, it may as well steal your mana well and you don't have mana restoring like at all. But yeah, that was a long time ago, we don't have it anymore. So that's just a historical, you know, fancy stuff to know. But yeah, anyways, to the red team we can see we're playing the knights along with the copters and quite a late eater combining with the wolves and the aeronauts and even the skeleton archers. So Ruspeak plays a lot of different stuff. Probably he's bound to add the skeleton archers, being afraid of the air, as Varipar doesn't have any anti-air by the time. Probably just Arbalest Tower would be enough, but yeah, blue team starts attacking. Apparently the reason for that is that the light player has the princess, so it is a tool against the skeleton archers, because where you can use the ability and the magic blast, and probably all the skeleton archers are gonna go down. Yep, but now both players also have aeronauts. Yeah, and the crossbow tower here too. I'm not really sure if Ruspik really needs his skeleton archers, and he doesn't have them anymore, as the panel says to us. Varipar is not hurry with engaging. The players try to sit back to the buildings, because crossbow tower covers them up. By the way, mind that in the in-game settings there is a setting that allows you to move command on the allied buildings. And if you enable this command, you will be able to select a unit and tap on the building, and you will not select the building then, but the unit will move on the building. And when you are defending like this, it is very handy, because you really want to place your units to the buildings as close as possible. So if you enable that setting, you just tap on the building and they go there. But you will need to learn to deselect units every time you want to select a building, let's say upgrade the building, because you want to be able to select it this way. Yeah, but I use it every time. I also enable these settings. Yeah, I love it. Well, I made it for myself, honestly. But hopefully someone else will find it useful too. That's why I let you know, but we are gonna make an educational shorts about that. So anyway, we can see we're trying not to let this blue grok escape. Igor tries to micro grok back. Not possible though, because knights can strike on the move, obviously, and the grok is quite low. So it all comes down to how many attention Wary can spend for this. Probably not so much, and yeah, not the greatest recovery scroll, because grok wasn't affected. Probably the pink issue, I'm not sure. Obviously we have the mobile game, so pink can pick sometimes. Yeah, and this is what you really should look for when you choose an internet supporter, an internet provider for playing the game, because people usually see on the bandwidth like I have 100 megabits per second, but it's not important. What is important is how stable your ping is. So you just download some stuff like network utilities and say ping 8.8.8.8, which is Google, and just ping it for, let's say, 100 times. And what you want to see there is that your ping is low and it is stable. For example, I have 6 milliseconds. And I know that some players have like 60, 60, 500, 200, then 40, and that's awful. That's the worst condition you may have for the online game. Yeah, you really need to know how to use this and have a grip on stuff like that if you want kind of control your own life and the quality of your life. I really suggest to kind of learn what ping is, what tracer it is. It's not hard. But anyway, it is 10 minutes in the game. Chests popped up. They are far in the corners on this map. I'm not the greatest fan of this, by the way. We move the chest on pretty much all the maps, but on this map, I mean, we move it closer to the center so that the players could, how do we call it? Try to engage for the enemy chest. No, not just split the map. I take this, you can take that. I wanna be able to engage for the enemy chest too, but not on this map. If you want, you can let me know in the comments if you like this position or you don't like it. So we see the red team try to push back now because they were sitting far in the defensive style. They even lost the mana well a couple of times. They lost a couple of chests. But this map doesn't have a mid chest on 730, and this lets you play like this, so you really quickly tech up to the catapults, bikers, and the high-tech stuff. I really miss the 4 tier here for Warrior, but otherwise it is fine. Here, Castle 4 just ready, Citadel on the starting, so it's about equal. But what is not really equal still is that blue team doesn't have that much of that good technological units, but they are starting to have their catapults and bikers as well, so they are not kinda deeply behind, they're just slightly behind so far. 60 up for the red player, who's been first to get one. Yep, and this is the defensive position that I mentioned. So it will be really hard to engage here. The guys are trying. Not all the units being microed perfectly. One aeronaut goes down. Guardsman went too far ahead probably, but yeah, one sniper also dead. Snipers don't shoot far enough. Which may sound weird, by the way, because isn't sniper what should have the longest attack distance? But probably not the ancient snipers, though. So maybe it is fine that catapult has a longer range than the ancient sniper, with some low-tech rifle, you know. Yep, it would just be imba if we give it a long range. It is as simple as that. Or we have to give it a long range but very low damage, and I really doubt it if it will feel interestingly this way. A fancy move out of Rus Peak. He's gonna sneak the mana well, because the game is obviously stagnating here, no one knows how to break the other team. I like it out of the blue team, so they're trying to maintain the map control. So they're having all the objects on the map. They're making it expensive for the red team to even leave their base, and it is just this map that the mana well is still under the red control. But they now also get in this mana well. Both of the players already have 4 mana wells. Very forgot about the farm though, so he's still kept at the 80 supply, and it seems that the red team is trying to engage because there is the summoning stone coming up, and I feel that this is a huge mistake. Straightly because of that forgotten 4th farm out of Veriperi. He doesn't have enough mana army supply. So they should patiently stay in the defense, in my opinion. But rather than that, they decided to go, and probably that will lead them to just dying. At least it have to be that. But the upside for the red team is obviously, well, that was a good snowstorm out of Veriperi. He really put it on a lot of units, and also obviously their reinforcements is quite is much faster, I mean, because the bases are close to this position, but still, and we may call it predictable, the blue team won. won this engagement. They also killed 3 catapults at once with one single meteorite, but there is still more to fight with. But I'd probably prefer to kinda get them back into the base. Very try to get different stuff. I'm not really sure why he thinks he needs crossbow tower. Probably he just made it by misclick, because Dwarven tower and artillery already he does already have it, so he can't build a second one because he doesn't have the Dwarven Forge 2. Now fortification going up. It feels like the red team gonna block and eventually they gonna kill an elemental. But what does the blue team do successfully is they maintain even more map controllers. They clear that artillery tower, taking the enemy's mana well, so they have way more scrolls to work with. Actually, Ruspeak does have 200 mana, so he can use basically any scroll in the game, and yet another great sneaky move for the enemy mana well now. I like these little counterattacks out of Ruspeak. He does a great job, I think. Workers here still unreachable, it seems. Even though it looks like you can kinda sneak here, but probably you can't. Well, it was expensive, but 2 mana wells are for the blue team, so they can afford it, kinda. Paladin didn't have his active ability ready, it seems, so probably he wasn't just quick enough to use it. The great range out of catapult, probably the maximal range. They're not very accurate firing from this far. You have to know that the closer the unit is, the more accurate it strikes. So if you wanna use, for example, Baron's active ability on a single target, you wanna come as close as you can, considering his dead zone, of course, which is 3 cells, if I remember correctly. But anyway, a lot of artillery here. Ballistas and catapults. Altogether, they do a considerable damage to this eater. Magic blast to the catapult is something else. We don't see it often. Very trying to micro his ass off to try to kill that catapult. Yeah, catapult about to go down. Well, the red team kinda pushing it back, and if I would be a blue team player now, I'd probably call for coming back and repositioning, because they are starting to slowly lose more and more resources here. It did 15k against 14, and it's going worse as the time goes. So I don't feel continue pushing here. It's funny how this chest is still on the map. The next one is about to come soon, but nobody even had time during these 5 minutes to even take it. Yeah, the blue team decided to build a tower, but they also need to put the worker in there. Otherwise, Ruspeak can steal it once again. He has a worker here for some reason, I'm not sure, probably this is just scouting. Or probably this is for the next summoning stone, but it is still 2 minutes to place. So it doesn't feel right to me to spend the worker like that. But Ruspeak has almost 3k wood, so probably not very short on that. Don't need every worker to cut woods now. Well, whatever I've been saying about the blue team, pushed the red team back to their high ground. Yep, and they stole that chest. But they came late, so I'm sure they only took one chest. You probably know that the chest won't appear again if you didn't take the previous one, so it's not possible that there is like 5 chests because nobody came to this spot yet. Oh, the old bug with the Axemaster. Probably we can catch it with this replay. Gotta see. We still can't reproduce it to safely fix it, you know. Well, not the greatest time for the blue grog. Too many red units. Yep, so the further blue team goes, the harder it is to finally break. And yet again, it is exactly what I called about this map, that it is really hard to finish the game. It can probably be a good solution to suddenly change the direction and attack the lower part of the map. But you also kinda afraid of doing stuff like this because enemy can counter-attack. You kinda open the path. I wonder why Igor decided to add zombies. Probably he sees zombie as a counterplay to the bikers because they can slow down stuff. Here comes the blue team snowstorm, but not the greatest one because only 3 units I think were frozen. And it is really expensive in mana. Now the rockfall out of the blue team too. I didn't notice what repair we used, but Ruspeak still has mana for something. It can be a Ring of Fire. Yeah. There are also still the bikers alive. Better trying to kill the alchemist, not successful so far. And one more summoning stone for the blue team. They are trying to help out this elemental. Zombie don't seem to work. I mean, not like in the game at all, but particularly in the team games. Probably zombie are not that great because too many burst damage comes out of the enemy team. In the most cases, because zombies are bound to go to the front lane because they wanna kill the units in the enemy's back lane. And they are not that durable. What looks great for the red team and what is dangerous for the blue team is that Very has a lot of bikers, and along with the ballistas and catapults, the bikers seem to become the real force. Not the greatest meteorite, literally hits 0 units. The idea obviously was to use it against bikers, but probably it would be better to keep mana to use on the hero resurrection and then use the artillery strike on something like hero altar, I don't know, or even don't even use the ability and just keep hitting bikers with your bombardier. It didn't happen though, and blue paladin against about to go down, and now the red team is heavily up in army supply. Maybe it is time to go right now. They have together 100 and almost 90 food, I mean combined, and here is 130 or 140, let's say. So it is the great position. the great advantage. This X-Master is again to die quickly. Yeah, you don't really come to the close fight with Grok. The Rockfall is not bad, but the orange units kinda withdrew. Recovery scroll is what Very Perry needs. But Ruspeak doesn't have 100 mana. I wonder, by the way, if the players use the voice to play this tournament. It's obviously better to use the voice communication, but it is probably not that easy when you play on the phone. I'm not sure. I just sit at my computer and use the voice calls on the computer when I need this, but I'm not sure that every War Legends player have computers to play at them. Even though they may have computers, but it is a mobile game, so sometimes you wanna play when you are not at home, right? It is how the game is designed. I was playing PC RTS for decades, and I actually love that I can play War Legends when waiting for something out of home, and you just take your phone that is always with you. Great stuff. Well, actually, the red team decides to go and attack from the middle of the map rather than the top part. I feel like the red teams, the right teams on this map tend to use the top path actually, because all the engagement take part on that side of the map, so they just kinda remain there. But Very and Ruspeak decided to change the direction, which is interesting decision. Grok used the screen to buff catapults. Interesting usage of the active ability of the orc hero. So now the snowstorm. Very weird decision to use recovery on the snowstorm units. I think I never seen this one before. But it is working because Alchemist's still alive. Zombies try to not to let Grok go away. Get another snowstorm. Grok frozen, Eden frozen. Also X-Master. Well, one hero and one unit dead to 175 cost scroll, but those units were high hit points, high HP, so probably it's worth it. But it's always hard to say, of course. And currently it is 1-1 mana wells. 40 seconds to the next summoning stone now. Fight recap quickly. Red team lost way more stuff when they decided to go and fight on the other part of the map. So pretty much what happened to the blue team earlier, right? And now the blue team gonna take one more summoning stone. The great split for the red team, which means they can't be caught with one scroll, but they can be caught with it now. If the blue team just use one meteorite on all those catapults, probably the game is gonna over. Right here, right now, but does they have mana? They don't have mana. User still needs 70 mana. Now comes the catapults, but from the red team. And now the catapults are split. Probably Ruspeak also thought about that, so he split his catapults. Great job. They're still gonna go down, but not to one scroll, and they do a lot of damage in the process. Obviously Elemental is captured, but Elemental keeps attacking that citadel. It is actually a skill that probably many players don't even consider, how to build base so that the mountain elemental always only hit your castle, because castle is very durable and even one worker can just repair it quick enough. Well, you can't repair anything with a few workers, right? So it wasn't worth mentioning. So anyway, you just enable repairing. Repair also enables repairing bikers. I like it. In the previous fight I was wondering why he doesn't get his bikers back to the base to repair. I don't really like that he can't use his Dwarven Forge for the free repair. Especially Dwarven Forge 2 or 3 grants the great repair with aura. Because the higher is the tier in the game, the stronger is the building's aura. So, more healing from Alchemist Lab, more repairing from Dwarven Forge, more attack force from the Orc Totem and stuff like that. Great snowstorm. Well, actually, it was a snowstorm from the blue team, so it's not that great. I thought it was from the red team. There were a lot of blue units, but anyway, everything Repair had there has that. Ballista keeps doing damage. Yeah, when you have this long time for ballistas to attack, they obviously deal the great amount of damage. And those units are really hard to maintain alive and useful, and even get them to the actual engagement, which is far from your base, is already a challenge. But if you manage all that, they really shine, of course. It is also interesting in a kind to use the harder units like this. Many players use different techniques to make them useful and micro it usefully. You can use hold position, you can use attack point for the ballista, you can just use the control groups. If you don't use select all, the F2 as the StarCraft players call it. F2 button, the default bind in StarCraft that select everyone. But unlike StarCraft, we don't select units that are patrolling and hold position and the artillery that attack ground. So you can use any of those to make your ballistas or catapults or whatever out of select all. So this is why I mentioned all this. Yeah, but anyway, one more engagement, one more pressing and push out of the blue team. Snowstorm, very very used. I mean, yeah, very very used, that's right. It wasn't great because he didn't do many damage to that snowstorm, so he kinda won time, but was it even useful? Now, Ruspik drops a rockfall. Didn't really kill a lot of units, but he still deal damage, so kinda fine to me. Where slowly drag his units back closer to the bases, to the buildings. Artillery strike, all to the empty position. Great meteorite. Very didn't maintain a good split. 3 ballistas goes down at once. And here the great sneak out of Ruspik. I didn't notice how did he kill the tower. Probably some meteorite was dropped. dropped on that tower, because there was an Elven tower, if I remember correctly. Very Pair decided to engage to the catapults line. One goes down, the other is about to go down as well. Here comes Paladin to help out, and the blue team attacking line is leaving its last seconds. So yep, once you attack on this map, you're far behind. Well, you may drop your opinion in the comments, but I can't help but feel wrong. It feels wrong to me, because advantage of the defensive team on this map, I think, is way too big. But you probably can't help this map by just replacing the objects. It just comes by design. Or maybe not, maybe if you place base, let's say here, and the other base here, and you switch it all for the different direction, maybe it can be a solution. But I'm not sure. There's really a lot of stuff to consider. Yeah, but here no of the teams even have an advantage, cannot really use it. But right now the red team has way more supply. And why is that? Is because it is mined out. Everyone mined out. And blue team, who was just attacking, probably just did the wrong move. Because nobody had more gold, and every time you attack, you lose more. So if you can't reproduce the army anymore, you can't afford attacking. Rockfall from the blue team, not bad. Kills a couple of red units. Now come the snowstorm. Chieftain goes down. Axmaster survives, but gonna die following to it. But bikers out of Very Pair killed all the backline. But well, red team had twice as many army supply. It would be funny if the Eater would still sneak away the mountain elemental, but let's be honest, it's not important anymore, because it is 140 supply against only the workers. Pretty much. Yeah, workers come to engage the last fight, but red team survived everything that the blue team threw at them. All this almost 40 minutes. Did the map help out too? Yep, pretty much, but also it helped to the blue team when it came down to the red team attack. So maybe this map is not the best, I'm not sure. We can consider different opinions about that, but what is certain is that strategy really made the result here, because the last attack of blue team was failure to me, and probably they really had to split army more often and try to stop kinda just straightforwardly push, and rather try to harass the back player, probably gold line, wood line, stuff like that. And it is still hard, of course, because it is what RTS is. So anyway, that was the game for this Sunday's fight. Make sure to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss the next one. And for now, let's say goodbye. My name is Kadi, and I'll see you next time.